London Zoo, home to 8,000 animals here in Regent's Park. You know, it's that magical place where you, and certainly I, met an elephant for the first time, trunk to trunk. And every time I stand outside these gates, I get that excitement of all those childhood memories. Yes, a ride in the pony and trap, a ride on a camel, seeing, yes, in those days, the chimps' tea party. You know, it was those childhood memories which certainly turned me into what I am and gave me that lifetime of fascination in things living and things alive. A trip to London Zoo. Today, thank goodness, more and more people understand the importance of conservation and the fact that captive breeding, yes, the breeding of animals in places like this, is the only hope for survival for some of the wonderful animals which used to roam free across this earth of ours. You see, we've destroyed so much of the natural world, and we're still destroying it, that places like zoos are now arks where some of the species are holding on their last chance of survival, and captive breeding is very, very important. London Zoo has always played an important part in the development of these innovative captive breeding projects, and today they're linked with no less than 30 international projects, and 100 members of the Zoological Society are at work in different parts of the world helping to save endangered species. So join me on a trip and find out how this whole sort of package deal of information, knowledge and expertise has been put together. Almost 160 years ago, the Raven's Cage, the Eastern Tunnel and the clock tower you can see behind me were built. And not only have they become landmarks of the zoo, but they're the real foundations of the world's oldest and most respected zoological society. Back in those days, it was only the privileged members of the society and their special guests who, with personally signed passes, were allowed in through the wicker and wooden entrance gate to view the wonders of a small collection of animals under study, animals from all over the world. Back in 1828, this little cage was built for ravens, part of London Zoo's first aviary. Now, not very long ago, I had the immense pleasure of opening the latest facility for viewing the birds of the world, the African or Eastern Aviary. Constructed with an arched tubular frame and over 15 miles of stainless steel wire stretched over it to allow superb viewing of all these wonderful birds. The new aviary has been designed to be as environmentally correct as possible for the birds, of course. Even the man-made rocks have had heaters installed in them to ensure that the roosting and nesting areas are comfortable and at the correct temperature. Now the plants, well, they've been chosen to give a true African feel to the place. A really modern answer to observing and breeding endangered bird species. A very pleasant environment for anybody, really. Warm rocks, waterfalls and a meandering stream. You'd have to search high and low and pay a lot of money for surroundings like this on your holiday. The Butler eagles have already bred at the zoo, another world first. Other successfully bred birds include Adam's stork, spoonbills, harrier hawks and the strange-looking, aggressive, lappet-faced vultures. Well, I suppose they find each other attractive. Another building that's been in existence for over 150 years is the Giraffe House, which, though modernised slightly since those early days, remains very much the same building. And that really does make me feel quite young to look at it again. Now, there are other paddocks and other animals housed around about it. Besides the giraffe, there are the camels and the llamas, which have been associated with the zoo since its very early days and housed at the old clock tower building, which we've seen earlier. Rare animals such as the okapi and the gar have been bred successfully. The gar has now given birth to her fourth male calf. If we follow the recommended route marked out in the brochure and on the direction boards, we cross over the Regent's Canal to the Snowden Aviary. Now this was a very controversial building when it was first put up. The aviary, named after its designer, Lord Snowden, has proved to be an enormous success. It allows the birds to fly freely over and under the suspended walkway. And this, of course, allows us visitors the opportunity to observe at close quarters the nesting and the roosting sites of a great variety of birds. Back across the canal bridge to the small Mammal House and the moonlight world where a fascinating collection of nocturnal animals are kept in an environment where day has been turned into night. The bush babies, bats and other nocturnal species such as the rare echidna can all be seen exploring their nighttime habitats. Take your time down here and you can study some of the weird and wonderful creatures of the night with their large nocturnal eyes and sometimes slow motion movements. The slender loris with one of her newborn. Now because she gave birth to twins, she rejected one. So this little fellow has had to be hand-reared and has been christened Boris the Loris by the keepers who fostered him. When old enough to be able to fend for himself, Boris will be reintroduced to his other family members. Above the nocturnal small mammals, at the ground floor level of the Charles Claw Pavilion are other small animals that have become favourites throughout the country. The comical meerkats and the tiny tamarins, both emperor and golden. A brush-tailed porcupine and her young, and down-to-earth creatures such as black rats in an environment that's too real for comfort. and brown rats in a peaceful farmyard setting. Many of the small mammals at the Claw Pavilion are endangered in the wild and are part of the zoo's international captive breeding programme. The beautiful golden lion tamarin, for example, is on the brink of extinction due to its lowland forest habitat being cleared for human habitation. Other small mammals that are great favourites are the koalas, marsupials of course, found housed in the roundhouse, once the home of gorillas and monkeys. Behind the koalas are the popular small clawed otters, which can often be seen playing together in their pool and scampering over their rocky pen. They can be seen playing with stones, and careful study has shown that these otters, unlike others, do not have webbed fingers, because you see, they need the flexibility in their delicate hands to catch fish and to handle and open crustaceans. Adjoining the otter pool is the insect house, built way back in 1912. Now this collection is now and always has been one of the most popular stopover points for all zoo visitors. Nowadays it's probably more correct to call it the invertebrate house, and it contained all the creepy crawlies, the world's natural recyclers and garbage disposers, from the tiny forest and leafcutter ants to venomous spiders, centipedes and to dung beetles. Below the main viewing area is a laboratory and captive breeding program facility. This houses one of the world's most endangered and genetically interesting creatures, the parch-yellow snail. Not just endangered, but nearly wiped out by manned interference with its beautiful island home of Moorea in Tahiti. First, the giant African land snail was introduced as a food source for the locals. Then, because of overpopulation by this enormous snail, the predatory snail, U. glandina, was introduced too. But U. glandina, of course, turned its deadly attention onto the tiny partula and all but finished it off entirely. The London Zoo's insect house, together with other establishments around the world, are soon to attempt the reintroduction of this tiny, beautiful, rare snail back into its native island paradise home. Among other endangered species being bred here are the Italian Olympia's ground beetle, the British walk biter cricket, and the New Zealand giant weta, a sort of cricket, and very prehistoric looking it is too. Many of the birds which are bred in the zoo are hatched and hand-reared in the incubator centre. Now this is a delicate and important task carried out by dedicated foster parent keepers who take on every role of the natural parents, including turning the eggs over. One thing they do regularly is weigh the eggs to check on the progress of the chicks inside. Feeding time at the zoo has been popular with all ages, no matter what animal is being fed. But who's watching who? The Three Island Pond is another part of the zoo which has remained an attraction with many, many generations of visitors, with its amazing flamingos and other colourful birds making a beautiful backdrop to the lawns and the gardens where many people like to stop off for a picnic or just a restful few minutes. Tucked away at the back of the zoo, visible from the park side as well as the zoological garden side of the barriers, are the grey wolves, who have been breeding very successfully for many, many years. Today's tropical birdhouse was originally built as a reptile house in 1883 and was changed to its present use in 1927. It also houses many colourful and exotic birds, kookaburras, ibis, hornbills, and startlingly, iridescently plumed birds like those we can see here. Earlier in the programme, I spoke of the innovative new African aviary. Well, in 1976, when these lion terraces were built, they were considered to be the bee's knees in feline real estate. You see, from at least one side of the enclosures, no bars are used at all. Natural barriers are used wherever possible. The lion's natural barrier is a deep water lake with very steep high walls, allowing the public to view these magnificent creatures from a completely natural viewpoint, and wherever possible, glass is used as a viewing medium. The foliage, shrubs and trees also allow the cats plenty of shade, and of course the opportunity of a bit of privacy by hiding from the public gaze if they so wish. This whole area proves yet again that the London Zoo has always been at the forefront of providing natural animal habitats, or habitats as natural as possible. Areas that have a good balance both for beasts and for us humans. The depth of water is misleading for us as well as for the cats. Recently, the keepers took their own video whilst introducing some new lions into the area. The result speaks for itself. Poor cat, she must have got the shock of her life, but does illustrate the muscle power in those legs. The tigers and leopards are all kept in similar styles of environment, with plenty of space and places to hide and shade themselves. These little fellows need no introduction at all. Feeding time for these wonderful little penguins have always been popular. All the penguins at the zoo were bred here, and many of them are now grandparents. Now back to my first memories. My visits to the zoo and those camel rides. And they're still being enjoyed as much by today's children as they were by me and my brother. The onlookers seem to get as much fun out of watching as their friends and relatives riding these ships of the desert. But for those who are a little bit seasick, well, riding camels may not be their cup of tea. So they can always have a go at the llama and trap rides. The elephants are not always to be seen in their paddocks except at bath time or at weigh-in time. Otherwise they're generally seen on their daily walks around the zoo, keeping themselves and their keepers very, very fit. When weighing time comes, the crowds really get to enjoy themselves, especially the lucky few children who were chosen to assist in the weighing demonstration. They get to meet the elephants and compare their combined weight with that of a single elephant.
And her handler today is Richard. And the bigger one's called Dilberta. She's about 9 years old, and she's being handled today by Lee. It makes the handling of the elephant easier as well. Enables us to do simple things like footwork, checking them out without too much trouble for the elephant or the keeper. Before we actually weigh the elephants, we'll just show you a few of the things that they've been trained to do. Now first of all, they're raising the trunks. This is so we can check the mouths to see the teeth are okay. Elephants get through 6 sets of teeth during their lifetime, and they occasionally have teething troubles, especially when the old set of teeth is being pushed out from behind by the new set. As you can probably see, they've both got short tusks, which won't grow very large because the female Asian elephants, and only the male Asian elephant has large tusks. Now they've been taught to raise their feet so we can check the soles of the feet for anything sticking in them. And we also have to trim the nails from time to time to prevent the cracks in the nails getting too bad. Now we give all our elephants here the commands in Sinhalese. This is because the bigger elephant, Dilberta, was already partly trained when she arrived here from Sri Lanka. And it's much easier to use the same set of commands that she was taught over there, rather than have a different command for each elephant. Now they're mainly taught to lay down so we can bath them properly in the morning, give them a good scrub all over to keep them nice and clean. It'll be quite impossible for us to scrub them properly unless they lay down for us. You can also do footwork while they're laying down. It's also quite a handy position for brushing sands off the back before they come in from the paddock in the evening. Now Dilberta's 9 years old, which is not equivalent to a 9-year-old child. She should keep growing till she's about 18 or 19 years old, by which time she'll weigh up to about 3.5 tons. So at the moment they're still toddlers. Now Lee's going to ask Dilberta to get on the scales, and we'll see how much she weighs today. And today she weighs 2,780 kilograms. Well, that's over 2.5 tons, but she's still got a bit of weight to put on yet. So if you can have the rest of the people in the paddock up onto the scales, we'll see if we can equal the weight of one of the elephants. There's 10 children there now, and between them they managed to weigh 330 kilograms, which is nowhere near the weight of Lying Liang.
Regular pedicures and other beauty clinic procedures can also be seen if only you're prepared to sit and wait. A satellite tracking system linked directly to Africa is on display in the Elephant House. A display of wild animal conservation being observed as it takes place through modern high-tech methods. Rosie the Rhino was born at London Zoo in 1988. She was rejected by her mum because she was so small, and so was hand-reared by her keepers. Even her milk had to be researched and specially formulated by James Kirkwood, the zoo vet. Rosie was born premature and only weighed 17 kilograms, compared with the usual 30 kilograms. Now, 3 years on, Rosie compares very favourably with Joss, the young male black rhino of similar age that arrived recently from a zoo in Eastern Europe. Yet another success story for the keepers and zoo vet, and who knows, with luck, we may one day be seeing the offspring of Rosie and Joss right here in the zoo. This event needs no description or introduction at all. Just about every visitor makes it a point to see the feeding of the sea lions, to watch their grace, speed and athletic ability underwater. Great fun, and if you watch carefully, very educational too. Not everyone's favourite, but an absolutely fascinating world of spines, venom, vivid colours and prehistoric connections. Alligators, geckos, monitor lizards and a whole variety of snakes. Each Friday gives the opportunity to view the reptiles being fed, or the chance to have a close encounter with a python in the foyer, or to test your speed and agility against the striking speeds of the cobras, simulated, of course. Tranquil, cool and full of variety and colour, the aquarium houses all types of fish and sub-aqua life forms, from the tiny iridescent tropical fish to the local fish of the shorelines of the British Isles, including the shipwrecks, sharks, turtles, koi and cod. They're all here. Opposite the restaurant, shops and fountains is the large amphitheatre, used for all kinds of presentations to the public. Here you have the chance to meet the animals and ask the keepers and experts any type of question you may have relating to the animals and to their care.
So we have a really thick coat for that, and we also carry extra red blood cells that keeps them warm as well.
Every Christmas, the Meet the Animals takes on a different form. It is based on the story of the Nativity, and a few lucky volunteers are chosen to assist by taking part in the play. Then comes the big surprise. Somehow the story gets to involve all kinds of animals, with some pretty mean acting from the keepers themselves. A terrific atmosphere and a show worthy of any West End theatre.
Doesn't sound much like it. You're having a good time. Go, Mary. What's someone there, Mary? What's your name? Tony? Right, how old are you? 7. Right, now, Josie. Go, Josie. All right, jump on there. Let's have a look at you. This 7. What's your name? Sam. How old are you, Sam? 6, right. So that's Tony and Sam. Right, if you go over there to that lady, she'll get your costumes ready. Okay, Mary and Josie. Right, 2 shepherds. 2 shepherds? What's your name? Oh, yes, I am. The donkey. Her name is Tutti Frutti. Tutti Frutti? What a name for a donkey! Rhinos are very good creatures to have around. This particular rhino is sometimes called the farmer's friend. Do you know what it eats? And now, let's give a big special round of applause to Mary and Josie. To the 2 shepherds, Enos and Birdhouse. And to the 2 wise persons here. Esther and my brother. And everyone else who made all this possible. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.
The monkeys and apes, forever popular, our closest living relatives in the animal kingdom. London Zoo has always taken a great pride in the success of its breeding programs with the primates. The orangutans are represented by Bulu, Suka and Jago, 3 generations of successful breeding. The same success story is found with the gorillas. Kumba, the large silverback male, has settled in very well with the females Salome and Zaia, and young gorillas have already been born and are a pleasure to watch playing around their areas. Others of the lesser apes and monkeys are also well represented, including the ever-popular chimpanzees, especially the youngsters in their nursery unit, always ready for a feed or a game with their keepers. Other members of the small monkey family are involved in breeding programs. The llamas, ring-tailed and brown, Diana's monkey and many others. Backing up and supporting the whole of the London Zoo's dedicated staff is the Zoo's world-renowned veterinary hospital. The veterinary staff are involved in dealing with all manner of ailments and problems, from the smallest of the invertebrates and mammals to the Zoo's largest animals, such as the big cats, rhinos and elephants. The expertise gained by the hospital has made it a world leader in providing information in the health, husbandry and nutritional requirements of unusual and rare animals. Well, there you are, a quick guide and I'm sure a fantastic souvenir about the life of London Zoo. And remember, it is the world's first and oldest zoo, and during its 160 years of history, it's collected a phenomenal amount of data and information concerning the diversity of animal life in this world of ours. And all the time that fact and information is being put to good use all the way around the world. We all watched David Attenborough's last television series, didn't we?
The current estimate of the number of species with which we share this planet is 30 million. This includes 300,000 plants, 9,000 birds, and 45,000 other vertebrates, and over 29 million invertebrates. Many of these species are under threat, not from nature, but from man. Need this continue? We must do something now before it's too late. If people don't understand that something is wonderful, marvellous, beautiful and exciting, and that they're part of it, they won't want to save it. You can't just say we have to conserve without understanding what it is that we're conserving.
You can become part of this caring family by joining LifeWatch. Everyone is welcome, young, old, families and companies. LifeWatch is a conservation membership scheme in which its members, you, can lend a hand and support this invaluable work. There are many advantages to the members: free admission to certain events, a chance for close-up visits when the zoo is closed, and a regular, full-colour conservation magazine that keeps you up to date with conservation work being carried out by the zoo and its agents throughout the world. Plus, there's update information in each edition on new birds that have taken place within the zoo. So, the message is clear. Get involved, visit the zoo regularly, become a friend of the zoo, join LifeWatch. Come on, all you've got to do is what I've done all my life. Come here and enjoy it. And if you do, you'll ensure that when these gates close tonight, it's not forever.